In today's video, I want to talk about the Elgato prompter. Elgato sent me over a bundle of stuff the other day. Massive thanks to Elgato for that. I didn't have to pay for this, but it's not sponsored. They didn't ask me to say anything in particular. They just said, hey, can you make a video about these if we send them to you? They didn't say I had to be nice about it. They didn't say that they're going to take it back if I was mean about it or anything like that. So I'm free to give you my honest thoughts. And this prompter is incredible. Like, it's the one piece of gear that I've picked up so far that has completely changed the way I make content. And I really genuinely mean that. It changed the way I stream. It changed the way I make videos. It's just changed absolutely everything. Right now, for example, while it looks to you like I'm looking straight down the camera, I'm actually looking at my OBS preview window. So I can see what the shot looks like. I can see things like how long I've been talking for. I can see the volume levels on my volume mixer. I've just got everything straight ahead of me, so I don't need to keep on constantly looking kind of distractingly down at my monitors. But let's get to the unboxing quickly to show you what you actually get if you buy one of these. So this is the Elgato prompter, and the first thing you get in it is all of your connections. So an instruction manual, very useful for something like this because it's a piece of tech that I've literally never used before. You get some step-up rings. I don't really know what those are for yet, but we'll work it out. A USB cable and a universal shroud backplate. So the step-up rings seem to be a set of kind of metal rings that I can take out. I'm not sure if that is maybe to put some distance between the base and the camera. Something like that, not really sure yet. I'm sure it'll be explained in a manual. There is the shroud backplate. So this actually comes in a little bag. So this has got the backplate that you need and a little black thing, I guess, to block the light out, stop reflections and things. And then we've got the actual backplate piece itself. And of course, a USB cable. Something that I really like that Elgato do all the time now is make sure that all of their products have like a separate USB cable. So if you want to replace it with your own, you can do, to make sure it's the right length and stuff like that, or the right color for your setup, whatever it is. They seem to do that with pretty much all their products that I've seen for a while. So that is very, very nice. So you can see here, this is USB-A to USB-C, and it's got kind of an angled one, which I'm guessing is to fit the prompter a little bit better. Then the next thing that's inside is this like L-shaped mount, I'm guessing this is. It's got a threaded mount on the bottom of it that can kind of slide forwards, and it says you should mount the camera here, so I'm guessing that's how you mount the camera on this thing. And then here in this bag with this lovely little Elgato sticker to seal it up. I do like packaging. I know I shouldn't, but it's just a part of like consumerism that does still speak to me a lot. Then this is the actual product itself. So you can see there's kind of a piece of glass, and then you'd put the camera lens poking through there, I think. And then this side of it is a display, which will display your text. So when you have it facing you, so it'll be like facing you like this, you'll be able to read all of the text in front of you, but your camera won't be able to see it. Your camera will look straight through it and still be able to record you. Right, I've got an Elgato 4K Pro camera. I'm going to get all of this set up and see how it goes. It's all set up now. Don't be distracted by the change of lighting and clothes. I've actually been using it for a few days now. I've made a few videos using it. I've used it to stream a few times, so I've kind of put it through its paces and kind of got all of the settings worked out. Setting it up was actually super easy. Those sort of step-up rings and the different shrouds and stuff, I didn't need any of those. Because I had an Elgato camera already, the 4K Pro, I could just literally screw that in on the backplate thing and then sort of slide it into the back of the prompter, and then it's all sorted. Like, that was it, basically. And then the software that you use is actually part of the camera hub, which I already had for my Elgato camera. So it was really easy. It requires one extra USB cable, obviously, for the prompter. So you've got one going to the camera and one going to the prompter. And then that's kind of it. I was really surprised. I have the Elgato multi-mount thing to mount my camera up. Even though the prompter seems really big and heavy, that's been absolutely fine holding it. I've got it at a super weird angle where it's kind of jutting out at a 90-degree angle, and it's absolutely fine. So it's been able to hold it up. The weight hasn't been a problem at all. Obviously, your mileage might vary if you're using some other camera. All of those step-up rings and the shroud and all of that kind of stuff is in the box that Elgato provided for you, just in case you need like extra bits and pieces to fit your specific camera. It supports a wide range of cameras, but I think you can check on the website to see if your camera supports it. But like I said, I'm using an official Elgato camera. it all worked perfectly out of the box. Like I didn't really have to mess with anything at all. So I'll quickly give you a tour through the software and kind of what the prompter can do. And I've also tried to add a little bit of video here and there to show you what's on the prompter when I'm doing these various things and these various options. So this is Elgato Camera Hub. You might have seen it before if you've used an Elgato camera. So if I go over to the prompter tab, which will only be enabled when you've got a prompter tucked in, you've got a few different things here. And I'll go through each of these because I think they're all kind of interesting in their own way. So first of all, you can change the brightness and the contrast of it. Now that might sound obvious, might sound basic, but it's actually really useful. Some people have found that with their particular setups, and it might be to do with how bright their room is or what type of camera they're using, that if you've got something really, really colorful on the screen on the prompter, that it might start showing up through your camera. Now, I haven't had any trouble with that at all. Even when I've been playing like full video on the prompter, it's been absolutely fine. But if you do have trouble with that, you can do things like reducing the brightness of it so it makes the text a bit dimmer, so the camera will have an easier time seeing through it. Or you can reduce the contrast a little bit, so it kind of makes the whole thing more like one color. So whether that's, you want it to be a bit grayer. This also helps a little bit, the contrast. I've tweaked it a little bit here and there just to make it a bit easier on my eyes sometimes, because you don't always want to be staring straight at like bright white text on a black background when you're doing stuff. So right now I have the prompter set up on display mode, and this basically runs it as an extra monitor in Windows. So if I want to, I can put extra stuff on there. What you can see on there right now is literally my chatbot chat window. So this is something that I can just drag off if I want to onto my main screen, or I can put it up onto the prompter. I use that when I'm streaming so I can read chat when I want to. There's some other settings that you can do on here. So if you want, you can do text. So this is the script of a video that I've been working on. And this is probably the thing that most people think of when they think of a prompter. This is how it's used in TV shows and stuff like that, is that you can put a script on there, you just copy and paste it. It sorts out the chapter stuff automatically using the paragraphs. And then you can give it a name, and you can have multiple scripts if you want to. And you can do all sorts of different things like changing the font size, obviously. And basically the idea is that your script will be on the prompter in front of your camera. So you're kind of able to read it, but the camera picks up you looking straight at it. So in the video, it looks like you're just looking straight to camera, talking very confidently about exactly what you want to say, but the prompter is actually giving you all of your text, so you've got your script right there. Now this is great because I often do guide videos, and a lot of the time I will have my notes on the guide on my monitor. And if you look at any of my older guide videos, I'm constantly just having to like look at the screen, remember what I'm going to say next, then look back at the camera. The alternative is that I try to memorize each paragraph and then do the whole thing to camera. That takes a lot longer. So often what I ended up doing in the past was just not having camera shots in my videos, which obviously makes them a little bit less kind of dynamic, a little bit less easy to relate to maybe. So I would just like find workarounds because this was such a problem. But now I can make my notes and then just put them straight up on the prompter, or a full script if I've written a full script, and then I can see them as I go down. Now, obviously, you want your script to kind of scroll as you talk, so there's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can have a constant mode, so then when you press play, it will just immediately start going down, and you kind of try to keep up with it when you're talking. And you can alter the speed, so depending on if you talk really slowly, you might want it to go really slow. If you talk really fast, you can speed it up a little bit. You can put it to voice sync, which will basically kind of do some voice detection, so it'll work out when you press play where you're up to when you're reading, so it keeps at the speed you're doing, which is super useful if you change the speed you're talking. Now, I have found that a tiny bit buggy. Sometimes when I run a software, it works perfectly. Sometimes I have to restart the software to get it to work. It's running on some kind of NVIDIA SDK. It tells you in the top right whether it's working or not. Like right now it says inactive. If I press play, it will say getting ready for a while. I'm not sure what it's doing, whether it's processing the script or whether it's doing something with the microphone. Not 100% sure, but yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully they'll improve that in the future. But you can do some other things. So constant is mostly what I've been using, like, because that works all the time and that's always the same. You can also highlight the text as you go, so kind of choose to make sure the bits that you've already read are highlighted or not. And you can also choose where your reading position is. Now, this is super useful because the prompter is actually really big. And so if you were looking at the very top of the screen, you'd be looking like I am now, quite a way above where the camera lens is. And similarly, if you're looking at the bottom, you're looking way below it. So you can choose where you want it to be, where you want your sort of eye line to be. So I set it normally just a bit above the center, because then I'm kind of moving towards the center of the camera all the time. I'm kind of always coming back to it rather than trying to keep up with it. You can also do some stuff with the text where you can choose the horizontal margin. So at first, by default, it's on 0, so it's super wide. And then you have this effect where you're constantly kind of looking left and right and sort of reading it. And it's super obvious that you're reading. So if you increase that horizontal margin, you can make it so all the text kind of goes into the middle, and that means your eyes aren't moving as much horizontally. And I think that's a lot less distracting for the viewer. And also something that I find super useful at the bottom of this are the overlays. Now, this is something where you can choose a shape and you basically have this projected in the middle of the prompter. So I normally have the crosshairs. It's not very bright. I turned the opacity down to 40%. And this just lets me know exactly where the lens of the camera is. So if I want to be looking straight down the lens, I know where it is, because the back of the prompter just generally looks like a sort of black screen. I can't see the camera very well. I think through the camera that I've got pointing at it, my phone camera, you can actually see it a lot better because phone cameras work in a weird way. But with my eyes, I can't see the camera at all. So that cross really helps me to make sure I'm looking straight at you when I'm talking to you. Now, there is another mode that you can use for streaming. It's called chat, and you can basically add your Twitch page onto there. I don't use that just because I multi-stream. I stream on both YouTube and Twitch. At the moment, you can't add a YouTube account or any other streaming service. You can only add Twitch. So that would only really be useful if you just stream to Twitch. Then you can put your chat on there and you can do other stuff like, again, controlling where it is, controlling the text spacing, everything you could do for the script if you want to. I just personally don't use that. Instead, I use the display and I just put my chatbot text on there. That works perfectly fine for me. That's not been a problem. Now, you can obviously use the display side of it for other things. So for example, I can have OBS like I was doing earlier at the beginning of the video. If I just grab my OBS window and then put it over there, I can put that on there, and then you can see here now, this is all of my OBS that I'm live recording, and I can actually see all of that information right in front of me while I'm recording. This is something I've actually just started doing today, and I found it super useful for recording videos where I don't have a script, where I'm thinking off the top of my head, I kind of know what I'm going to say, and I can still keep an eye on things like, oh, okay, what's happening with the audio mixer? I can keep that up in front of me. I can see what the overall picture's looking like. I can change scenes if I want to. So if I want to switch the camera, I can just press that. And now we've switched to full screen. I can do all of that without having to kind of break my eye line, which is unbelievably useful. When I first got this, I had no idea that you would just be able to use it as a third monitor, but it's probably the thing that I've used the most for. I think the scripts and stuff, I will get into a better workflow where I start writing more scripts and then being able to use them. But this idea of just being able to have like my stream chat on there, or being able to have OBS on there and sort of have the preview window on there, has been absolutely amazing. So I can heartily recommend the prompter. There are a couple of issues with it. Like I said, the putting stream chat on there only works with Twitch right now. It doesn't work with YouTube. Hopefully they change that in future. And the thing where it's meant to kind of auto scroll with a script, that seems a little bit buggy right now. Maybe that's something that I've done wrong with setting it up, but it seems like it's a bit hit or miss as to whether it decides to work. But everything else about it has been absolutely fantastic. And for me, the biggest thing, like the biggest single thing that this has changed about the way I make content is that I can now make loads of content with me on camera talking to the camera. Like talking straight to the viewer. It's something that was always very difficult to do. It was something that was very difficult to organize. I'd always end up having to kind of split my attention between the camera and screens, and it's completely eliminated that. So now, when I did say some Call of Duty Warzone guides earlier today, I can now intersperse the B-roll from gameplay with me talking to the viewer, and that's going to make a better connection. It's going to make people more likely to subscribe if they like looking at my face, I guess. And it also just makes the videos more interesting. Like, it has a little bit more visual variety in the videos, which I think is super important. So the Elgato prompter, like I said, massive thanks to Elgato for sending this to me for free, but they haven't sponsored the video. They haven't asked me to say anything in particular about it. I can heartily recommend this. It has become immediately an essential part of my gear setup. I can't believe that I went for so long without this thing. Now, in terms of the cost, it is £200, which sounds pretty expensive, and it is pretty expensive for a piece of gear. But like I said, I think this has changed the way I make content more than like anything else that I've bought. If you've already got a camera and a decent microphone, then I think this is almost next on the line in terms of things that can really, really change your content and make your life so much easier. And if you think of it as kind of a little third monitor that you can actually put a camera behind so you can be looking straight at while you record stuff, £200 doesn't sound that bad for a third monitor. And it's, you know, good quality. Like I've had absolutely no problems whatsoever with like the contrast and the brightness and the colors and everything like that. So heartily recommended. If you have any questions about the prompter, let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, let me know if you want to see more kind of tech review videos like this. I don't do them very often unless I'm asked to, but I really enjoy doing them. And if there's a bit more demand for them, I'm happy to do more about the other bits and pieces of gear that I use and new stuff that comes out. So let me know. Don't forget to leave a like on the video if you like it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.